So thank you again, everyone. My name is Aimee Keenan. I am the founder of the ISV Society, and I'm excited to chat with you today on some marketing tips and tricks for ISVs, which I know we can all utilize and use, and hopefully they'll have some great takeaways and be able to start implementing them tomorrow. So let's get started. Here is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about some easy to apply strategies. There's some 2022 industry trends that I'll be going over, what we're seeing already, and only being February, but things that are starting to really work and you can utilize. And then, of course, working with partners. We all know how important it is to build those relationships. And then, of course, it's always all about collaboration, working together and doing joint initiatives. So regarding our strategy, there's three things that we're going to focus on: emails and how you can get more opens, how to increase your engagement, and how to be more successful at your email campaigns, as well as webinars. We all need to think about, I think this year, really transforming our webinars because people are so kind of webinar to death, right? We've been on this virtual train for a few years, unfortunately. So we really need to think about how we want to transform our webinars, make them more of an experience, and really provide educational information and takeaways for people. And then, of course, collaboration, working together, gaining traction together and momentum together, doing joint initiatives, bringing the educational material to the partners and customers in a joint manner. Okay. So I thought this was a very interesting statistic that I found while I was doing research for this webinar, and that the overall emails that will be sent out are projected to be over, yes, you guessed it, 333.2 billion emails will be sent out this year, every day. Isn't that crazy? I mean, just think about what you're competing against every day when you're sending out an email. It's unbelievable. So that's why we really need to figure out how to get in people's inboxes, get them to open an email, and provide that content that they need at that moment. Really figuring out who the person is on the end of that email and what content you're going to bring them to be able to get them to execute on it. So just to go over a couple of trends for 2022. In regards to email, overall engagement is not thinking of email as a one-way communication, meaning you're sending out an email and then that's it. Nothing else happens after that. You want to send out an email not only that gets them to take a call to action, but gets them to communicate with you in some way. Maybe it's a poll or a survey or asking for feedback, or of course, there's other call to actions like webinars and white papers and checklists and ebooks, and the list goes on. But you really want to try and make it a form of communication that's going to bring it back and forth. So they come back to you after they read that email with something that they get out of it, that's something they want or something they learned. And so you really want to make it two ways versus that one-way communication. And of course, you want to stand out, right? You want your email to stand out from that 333.2 billion emails that people get. And we want them to provide really great content, really great value. And then, did you know, over data decay is also something we don't always think about when we're building our list. And when we're emailing to a bad list, obviously our open rates, our click rates are going to be really low. So really, on average, about a quarter of your email will go bad in a year, and that's a lot. So you really want to make sure you're also cleaning up your list. You're removing all of those that come back soft or hard bounce that no longer work at the company. And have someone take the time to say, hey, I got this, you got an out of office email, they've switched to another company. Maybe you go find out on LinkedIn what company they're with and try and get their new email address. Yes, it does take time. So maybe you have some virtual assistant, which would be great, or an intern to help kind of clean up that list, because I think keeping your list as clean as possible also helps with your open rates. And of course, the point. What is the point of your email? Are you doing research before you're sending out this email on what your prospects are asking, what those questions are that you're going to answer, what problems or pain points do you solve, and how you're going to answer those questions in that email? And education, we know, and information is way to go. We don't want to be salesy. We don't want to always be promoting our products or talking about our features unless there's something maybe new. So if you have existing customers and you have a new feature that you added to a product that they're using, and that's great. That's a great email to send out to let them know the new features of this product that they have. So you want to do things like that. But you don't want to obviously feature customers and partners to death about your products. You want to show how you provide value, how you solve their issues or pain points. And hello, Haley and Doug. Toronto, Canada. Must be really cold there too. Sorry, your chat just came in now. I don't know if it's a delay or not, but I figured I'd say hi. Okay, so subject lines. So there's a couple of different things that I want to break out when sending out an email besides the subject line. So who is the email from? You want to make sure that it's not from a company name or something they wouldn't recognize. You want it to be the person's name that they know, like, and trust, or a person's name that they're going to be working with. So a lot of times I see business names up there or no reply, which is not good. So you want to make sure you have a person's name in the from line so they know it's from a credible source and they know it's not spam. And then we come to the subject line. So there are a ton of best practices for subject lines. And one thing I can tell you is definitely write your email content first and then write your subject line after that. And you want to maybe pull out some key takeaways, key words from your email, and that can transform into your subject line. And you also want to take the time to write maybe 5 to 10 subject line examples to see which ones you like best and pick from there. And there are some tools out there, which I'm going to add one in the chat called CoSchedule, which helps. You can do a subject line test there. So I'm putting that in the chat for everybody. You'll also want to make sure your subject line is short and sweet. And then, of course, emojis and numbers are huge. Asking questions. So as you can see from these examples on the right, I'm using emojis, question marks, numbers. That's another huge thing. You also want to use power words. So focus on things, focus on their pain points, focus on what you add. So some power words would be ready, easier, avoid, improve, gain, faster, and stop. And then personalizing subject lines, that's huge too. Putting the person's name in the subject line can also increase your open rates by 50%. Numbers, if you include a number, it can include it by 45%. Questions, 10%, and emojis, 56% increase open rate. And here is another link I'm going to include in the chat. For Emojipedia. Yes, there is a thing, such a thing. So you can get any emoji you'd like on this website to start including in your subject lines. And I'm sure we all get tons of emails a day, right, from all of the stores or places we shop. And if you notice what's in their subject lines, a lot of them use these types of things. They use numbers, they use emojis, they use your name. So it's really become a huge trend. Okay, speaking of trends, so another 2022 industry trend is suspense. So if you include those wonderful 3 dots at the end of your subject line to kind of, get people saying, ooh, I wonder what this is about, that can also increase your open rate as well. So maybe give this one a try. And the other thing is you'd really want to do some like A/B testing. Maybe out of those 5 to 10 subject lines that you created, maybe there's 2 that you really like. So why don't you do some A/B testing to see which one does better? And you really have to kind of figure out what your audience likes and what they want and what they open more of. So as you're trying these different subject lines, maybe sometimes you include an emoji, sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's their name. So really try to play around with these different trends and see which ones really get your open rates up versus others. Okay, enough about emails. Let's talk about webinars. So we, as part of the ISV Society, we do a lot of joint marketing initiatives, one of them including webinars. And so we did a few last year, and I really started to analyze the webinars and how we're doing them, try to think about ways we can improve webinars. And it really comes down to these three things: the presentation, the presenter, and the point. And we're going to dive into each of these. So the presentation, as we're talking about these slides right here, the slides that I'm using, we'll go over that. We'll talk about the presenter. Again, you want to share your video, you want to be engaging. And then what is the whole point of your webinar? Telling a story, taking them on a journey, helping them in some way. So the presentation, less is more, obviously. We want a lot of white space. We want to have some great imagery, things that are very contrasting. You want to keep the content to a minimum. And a few things that I saw last year were people just reading their slides and not really providing any context around them. So you really don't want to read your slides. Whatever, if there's one key takeaway you can take away from today, is please don't read your slides. Yes, you can read points and things from it and take things from it, but if that's all you're going to do throughout the presentation without expanding or creating value or adding on, then unfortunately, it's really not going to make an impact on people. And eye-catching and engaging. We all love things visual. We are visual people. So when things are visual and eye-catching, that keeps our attention and it keeps us wanting to learn more and keeps us engaged with the webinar. Because the last thing we want them to do is to be doing something else and just listening to your webinar in the background. You want them to be engaged with you. And the presenter. So yes, sharing your video. And I think this has come a lot better over the last couple of years because we've had to share our video so much more than we have had in the past. And we just have to get over the fear or feeling that we don't want to share our video. And we don't want to hide behind the curtain. We want people to see us. We want to talk to our audience. We want to interact. We want to engage with them, talk to them, talk as if you are there in the room with them, and really project yourself and eye contact and all the things. Like, presenting is a skill in itself. And I actually wrote a blog about these 3 points on my website. And presenting is so important. And like I mentioned, it's a skill. It's something that you have to learn. It's something that you practice, something you have to just, if you are going to be presenting for a company, then you really want to get good at it and take lessons and practice in front of a mirror, in front of family or friends, do some test runs with the people in your company and organization. You really want to get out of that fear if you're going to be a presenter. Definitely want to practice and definitely want to do this as much as you can, because the more you do it, the better you get at it. What was really cool a few years ago when I was with Avalara, they actually had someone join us. We flew into the Durham office and they had someone join us and actually taught us how to present, how to stand, how to project, how to use your hands. And what was cool about it, it was our team. He would video you presenting, give you a topic just on the fly. You had to start talking about this specific topic, and he videoed you, and then everyone watched it and critiqued it. And yes, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I've learned so much from it, and I highly recommend you get some practice and someone to help you. And last but not least, the point. You want to mix things up, right? You want to not only do webinar type styles like this, like we're doing today, but you also want to do Q&A sessions, tips and tricks, industry trends, Tell a story, take them on a journey. Don't always talk about one thing. Talk about from beginning, middle to end. Give them something to take away at the end, of course, but take them on a journey in how you're going to help them in some way. What problems are you going to solve? What are you seeing in the industry that you can share with them? Give them something, of course, it's educational and informational. We're not going to be demoing unless you have a platform, unless that's the type of webinar you're going to do, and that's the goal of your webinar. But most webinars are educational and informational. And then when those people join and learn, the follow-up would be the demo, right? That's what you want to follow up with. You want to follow up with more education. Maybe it's a white paper or a case study, and then send them or invite them to a demo as well if they're interested. So you really want to, again, take them on a journey, tell them a story, and give them something of value. So important. And I want to talk a little bit about partner engagement. So since 1999, I have worked for ISVs, and I was lucky enough to start out by actually starting a partner channel from the ground up. This ISV just is a VAR, Blue Moon Industries. You may have heard of them. They were a VAR, and that's how I originally started there, was helping them with their VAR practice or partner practice. And then they had created all of these add-on solutions for distributors, and they're like, ooh, why don't we start selling these? Because we know distributors in the Dynamics GP space really need these products. So I was fortunate enough to be able to help them with that channel from the ground up, building it out to where it is today. And through my years working for many different ISVs, I've had the opportunity to work with not only numerous ERP solutions, but I had the chance to create great content, to plan events, to do joint marketing initiatives, to newsletters, to email campaigns, to partner engagement, to sales, you name it. I pretty much have done it when it comes to anything channel related. And what I've learned over the years with partner engagement, which is probably the hardest because we all know partners are very busy. They have a million ISVs that are trying to get their attention all the time. So you really want to focus on building a relationship with them and realize that it does take time and effort and consistency, and that you really want to provide value to them. You want to make it simple. You want to make it easy to work with. You want to give them as much tools, resources, and automated processes as you can to help them ready to go to market. You want to do a constant communication with them, whether it's monthly or quarterly. Discuss numbers, discuss their goals, discuss how they want to work together, get their feedback. And maybe if you're doing some analysis, figure out what partners that you work with the most, because it's not always about how many partners that you work with, but if you have 10 to 12 partners that are consistently selling your solutions, then maybe you step up your game with them and do more initiatives with them and help them get more successful. So really think about a whole strategy about how to work with partners, how they can leverage you, and how you can make their life easier is the best approach to go. No, unfortunately, there's no magic pill or magic and fairy dust to help partners engage with us more. If there were, I would highly share it with you. But it's really all about keeping that consistency and building that relationship and helping them is the best way possible. And that's really all you can do. And another thing that I wanted to bring up, because I feel like us as salespeople, as marketers, we don't do this enough. And we really have to never stop learning, because we know marketing is always evolving, always changing. There's always new things and new trends that we need to learn about. So there are so many tools, so many resources out there for us to learn from. Webinars, whatever automation platform you use or have used in the past, they are always doing webinars and giving you opportunities to learn about things and how to better improve webinars and emails and such. So join those webinars. Take the time to join those and get some learning out of it, and really start to see the trends, see what you can incorporate. That's how I do a lot of mine, is I'm always learning. I'm always trying to figure out what webinar I'm going to join next, what takeaways I'm going to get from it, and I try to share those with you as well. Certifications are also great. So HubSpot has a whole academy where you can get certified in pretty much anything, and I believe it's free for everybody. So you can go out there and get content certification, SEO certification. I mean, you name it, they have so many tools and resources on learning. So I highly recommend really taking the time to do that as well. And of course, podcasts and books are so important just to keep us, we're very creative people. So we need to keep our brains active and we need to keep learning. And I just find that that's so much better when you're never stop learning, because then that keeps your creativity going and that just helps you better create great content as well. There was, when I was with an ISV, one thing that I really loved, or a perk that I really loved, was that they actually encouraged personal development and growth and would pay for you to do some type of personal development or growth. And one of the things that I had taken advantage of was Marie Forleo. If anybody has heard of her, she wrote the book Everything is Figure Outable, but she also has some great tools and resources. And I took the course called The Copy Cure, which also I highly recommend. So she gives some great insights on how to boost up your content and how to really create engaging content, and you get a lifetime access to it. So I always go out there and watch things and rewatch things and always try to keep learning and incorporating those into what I'm doing, because I'm always trying to step up my game as well when it comes to emails, when it comes to webinars, when it comes to anything marketing related. It's really a learning experience for everybody. It's really an ongoing thing that we have to do to just get better. And I really think this quote is really powerful. So, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And that's where the ISV Society comes in. And I just want to chat a little bit about what I do and how I help ISVs. So, what is the ISV Society? Basically, it's an affordable way for you to generate leads in a collaborative way. It's marketing made easy. I do all the marketing, content creation, social, imagery, everything you need to execute, kind of like a marketing kit. And then we all promote whatever we are doing, whether it's a webinar, a podcast, an email, a social, an event. It's also a place to share best practices. So we meet once a month because ideas come from a group, right? We are sharing ideas, we're talking, we're sharing best practices, what's going on in this space, how can we leverage each other? So we're always trying to evolve, we're always trying to create new initiatives, and it's all about collaboration. And of course, society just for you. And there really is nothing like it in this space. And I really have a passion for helping ISVs to be successful, to work together, because I realize how important it is over my years of being in the channel that marketing and collaboration is key, and that we're all have a same common goal, which is to generate leads. So what do you get as being part of the the ISV Society marketing content? As I have mentioned, so it's email content, social content, all the imagery for it. It's a community. It's lead generation. I actually just launched this back in June. So for the first 6 months, I've documented. I obviously keep all the stats. So we had over 350 partners and customers that we've generated over those 6 months. And we're just continuing to do so this year in 2022. We have a lot of great initiatives that we're launching. We're actually going to start a monthly chat series in April called What's All of the ERP Buzz? So stay tuned for that. And we launched a podcast in October, so everyone gets an episode to chat with me or somebody else, and part of that podcast. And then again, we're sharing best practices. We did a chalk talk at Acumatica Summit. So I'm always trying to help you get your name out there, help you collaborate with ISVs, and do it in an affordable way. So how to get started? Just a couple of things. So there you see my membership fees. And then next steps would be, if you want to learn more, of course, send me an email. I'm happy to chat with you about anything, answer any questions you have, share tips and tricks. If you want me to look over your newsletters, if you need help with certain areas of your marketing, you can certainly reach out to me on that as well. And then once we get started, I actually have you fill out a customer form so I can better understand you as my customer. So what ERPs you focus on, what industries, what products, pain points, customer titles, all that stuff, just a better understanding of who you are and what you focus on, so that I can pair you with the other ISVs that make sense. I ask for your logo, your colors and branding to create all those co-branded materials as well. And then here is my contact information. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter. And there's my email address. And of course, you can also check out my website. I have a blog with tons of content out there. I have the podcast with all of our episodes. We just launched number 11 this past week. So it's really exciting. And of course, I'm a part of acu-connect, part of the webinar and event committee. So we are always launching webinars here monthly for ISVs, as well as for education, informational tips and tricks, and things like that. So if you aren't a part of the acu-connect yet, please sign up and we will be part of it, and you'll get access to joining the webinars that we have and the happy hours. If you didn't join our happy hour last week, we do those quarterly as well. All right. And I just want to end with a quote. Individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean. And it's all about community. It's all about collaboration. And it's all about working together. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will get to them now. I'll also be heading over. We do have a session that will be starting. Basically, it's a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me there as well.
Great job, Aimee.
Thanks, Amma.
I'm just popping in to provide some clarification on how that will work. On the left-hand side of your screen, there's the breakout sessions tab. And you'll go into the session there. You can share your screen, share your voice, and talk to Aimee, or you can drop it in the chat, whichever one makes you more comfortable. And if you want to just say hi, you can pop over there now as well.
And I'm just going to put in a link for the copy cure, because I did mention that as one of the tools that I used for learning how to get better at content. So feel free to check that out as well. And if you have any podcasts, books, webinars, anything that you've done in the past that you've gotten a ton of information from and were able to leverage and put into action, you can feel free to share that in the chat as well. We can all use some new tips and tools and tricks. Okay. Amma, can we go over to the session now?
Yes, we can. I'm actually going to stop the broadcast on this main stage. So if you're left, head on over to that session, even if you just want to talk for a minute.
All right. See you all there.